The last thing you want to do is to be the newbie on the team, go into the meeting and say the things that make your bosses look stupid. Your bosses look stupid.
You are smiling with me and killing me at the back.
Yeah.
Especially at workplace.
That's another one,
because
so that's another thing that I find that a lot of immigrants struggle with is lending your voice.
Hello, Open Table family. I want to take this time to thank all our subscribers and new subscribers, and also to say that our YouTube metrics show that more people watch our videos than subscribing. And I know that you enjoy the content that we are releasing. So please hit that subscribe button. It's free and it goes a long way to help us, because when we see our subscriber base increase, we put more effort to make sure that you are satisfied with the contents that we put out. So please hit that button. Thank you. Hello, Open Table family. We're here in your screens again with another exciting episode. And as always, I'm not alone. I'm with my
Osas.
Wonderful. Why am I excited? I'm excited because of our guest. Now, we listen to your comments, we listen to all the things you say, and we love the fact that you're always responding to us. Now, as follow-up to our last episode, we have decided to bring a professional to delve deep into this workplace brouhaha, as some people will say. So adjustments, toxicity, moving to a new place, and all the things that comes with it. So we have a professional in the house that wears many hats. So she is, I have to take a deep breath because I respect this lady so much. I love her hair, just to start with that. She is a certified human resource professional. She's a family life coach. She's a mom. She's a fashionista as far as I am concerned.
Yeah.
I know if I say her name, I'm going to murder it. And I don't want to fall my hand in the presence of my adorable. So I'm going to pass it on to her to say her name and say a little more about herself.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for having me, because I feel like I'm fangirling right now because I'm a fan. I watch all the videos, believe me, when it comes out. I really enjoy the content. So great job. Well done. My name is Marina Isiri Iyeme Eteng. Once upon a time, I was a YouTube content creator. I still am. So if you're watching this and you're a Marina Isiri family member, put the sword back. I'm coming back. Okay, put it back.
Yeah.
I'm a chartered professional in human resources, certified by CPHR Saskatchewan. I'm a family life coach. I am a mom of two. I don't even know if I can call them kids because I'm 5'11" and I'm almost the shortest in my house. So 2 adults, young adults. Wife to 1 husband, and what else? I'm just an advocate for people making the best choices and thriving in whatever decision they choose to make and whatever career path they choose for themselves, especially in a country like Canada, which is like our base reference. Yeah. So excited to be here.
Thank you, Marina. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Open Table. We are honored, super honored to have you. I'm going to jump right into the questions because I know we have a lot. I actually brought my phone.
Okay.
Because I don't want to lose any.
No pressure at all. The seat is not hot. It's not hot at all.
Bear with me. So I'm going to take my cues from the questions. But before I go into that, we talked about workplace toxicity. And I know we went on, myself, Osas, Okiki, we were just talking and talking. But let me start by asking you, as a human resource professional, what exactly is the definition of workplace toxicity?
I should have checked the dictionary for this one before coming, but I will just use my head knowledge of what a toxic workplace would be, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. A toxic workplace would be a less than ideal workplace, a place that hinders your ability to be able to carry out your work safely, without any psychological threats, without any physical threats, without any emotional threats. Nothing that keeps you awake at night or makes your heart palpitate when you think about being at work. So anything that is less than ideal in that context, I would say, can be described as a toxic workplace.
Fantastic. So we were not wrong. I just wanted to be sure that. So we got it right. Okay, so I want to push beyond that in this conversation.
Okay.
That's why in the introduction I said beyond the toxicity, we want to talk about adjusting into a new workplace. Mm-hmm. adjusting into a new country. So right off the bat, what would be your suggestion if somebody moves to a new place of work or leave a country to another country and starts working there? What would be like the 5 things you want to tell the person?
Okay. I think a lot of times we underestimate how much work, how much actually goes into uprooting your life from one place and going to a completely different place to start all over again. Now, that's looking at it from I moved from one country to another perspective. It is such a major move in every sense of the word, like emotionally, it's financially, psychologically, because for some people, you're moving away from the support system that you know. Some people are moving away from jobs that they have been in for many, many years, where they have established roots, they have built solid relationships, you understand the workplace. To walk away from all of that and start again, it's a lot of work. And I think the first advice I would give is people need to extend a little more grace to themselves in the expectations that we put on ourselves, that we now take into those workplaces. And sometimes you realize that those expectations are unrealistic. So when you get into a new workplace, like you have searched for the job, you have finally now gotten this job that you really want, my first advice would be for you to pipe down and observe. Just pipe down and observe. No matter how many years of experience you have in a certain profession, in a certain area, you are going to need to learn the way it works in that organization. There is our way of doing things. There's general knowledge that comes with certain career paths, don't get me wrong. But the way it is applied in the organization you work in is going to differ across organizations. So your first step is to pipe down and just observe. That's not the time where you want to show yourself and let your voice be the loudest in every meeting. I mean, I'm not saying don't let your expertise not shine through, but you need to learn that fine balance of observing first before you speak. Observe first, what exactly is the culture of this organization? Because every organization has a culture. They have a way they do things. What is the culture of the organization? Who do you report to? What is the leadership style of the person you report to? How do they like things to be done? Because no matter how skilled of a professional you are, your manager, the person you report directly to, has such a strong hold, for lack of a better way to put it, has such a strong hold, a strong influence over how much you rise in that organization and how your career trajectory will play out. The person you report to has a role to play in that. So pipe down and observe that person. What's their leadership style? What is their preference in how they do things? When you go to meetings, how do they coordinate conversations? How do they share their opinions? Then model what you're doing after that. Not replicate it. I said model, which means put that style in mind in how you then share your own observation or your opinions in meetings. Because the last thing you want to do is to be the newbie on the team, go into the meeting and say the things that make your bosses look stupid.
Word.
If you put your boss in that position, they are going to resist you and they're going to make your life a living hell. That's the truth. So pay attention, stop, pay attention. The expectation for the first, however way, I mean, depending on the organization, some people do like a 30-day expectation, 60-day expectation, 90-day expectation. Have an understanding of what those expectations of you are. The first 30 days is typically you just familiarizing yourself with processes, with policies. That's the point where you stop, observe. Pay attention, raise your head. As much as you're doing onboarding, your head down, watching all your training videos, reading all your manuals, depending on what your job is, raise your head and pay attention. Be familiar with the environment, with your team, the people that you work with. It sounds like a lot of work. It is a lot of work. The adjustment to a new work environment is a lot of work. So pay attention. So bottom line goes back to the overall umbrella idea of pipe down, observe. Pay attention to how things are done where you are and model how you do your work after that. Did you say 5?
Yes, but
all of that was 1.
More than 5.
Okay.
So I'll take it that it's 5 plus.
Yes.
So
okay.
We can choose our viewers, the ones that you want to take on.
When you talk about, for me, toxicity in the workplace, or when you get to a new environment, some people start a job in a new environment and they sense a bit of being unwelcome or some kind of I don't want to use the word, not dislike, but you don't feel like they are welcome. You don't feel the warmth of your environment. How do you adjust in that kind of setting where you get there and just sense coldness?
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe the first 1-2 weeks, and you are like trying to. What do you do?
Okay, so it depends. That's you're going to hear that a lot in this conversation. Just a heads up. The human resources professional in me, we don't know how to answer things black and white. Just saying.
Yeah.
It depends. There are always nuances, and we have to put that into consideration. So I would say it depends on where is the coldness coming from. If it is from your peers, there's a different way to handle it. If the coldness is from top down, then we have a bit of a bigger problem, and there's also a way to go about that. So think about it this way. When a job opening comes out, the people who are the existing team members, there is a chance that they know somebody who has a friend and knows somebody that probably applied for that job. You have to think about all the possible reasons why somebody's just going to wake up and be cold to me. You don't know me from anywhere. Like, why am I walking into this tension in this room? There are many reasons why that tension can exist even before you come into the room. For that person, I wanted my friend or somebody that I know to get the job, but it turned out that it is you. So there's already bias before you even step into the room. You don't have any control over that. It's not your fault that you were the most qualified person who applied on the job. You passed all the stages of the hiring process, and you were the one who was hired. What you do not want to do is now start to match the energy from the get-go. You don't want to start to give cold shoulders back. I would say, if it's me, if I were in that situation, it would trigger some kind of curiosity for me to say, okay, what is happening there? I'm going to try to take some time to get to know the person. How closely do I work with this person? If it's somebody that you do work closely with, it means you need them. So to an extent, you're going to find a way to get past that initial coldness, like you put it, and just try to look beyond it, because you never really know what's going on with the other person. I've been in a situation like that where I walked into the organization and everybody else was like, oh, nice to have you, welcome. And one person just said, hi, welcome to the team, and put their headphones back and continue doing what they were doing. I got to find out later on from conversations that the person then said was, she was having a hard morning. Whether it was a pet or somebody died, right? She was having a hard day.
So it's not about you.
It was not about me. So that's something we need to think about. Like, from the get-go, don't personalize it. Like, okay, it could be them. It could be something going on with them. So don't embody that problem and make it your problem. It could be something completely outside your control, because you haven't even been there long enough to do something to them for them to be cold to you. So there has to be something else happening. And if that's the case, I would say if you work closely with that person, from time to time, just say hi beyond the scope of the work. Like, something my father used to say is kill them with kindness. Like, that has never failed me. For some people it has. Let's not. Kindness has burnt them. That's me just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I would approach it. To approach it from the standpoint of kindness. If it's up down, like a manager, somebody who hired you, you come into the team and they are cold, I'll be very curious, because hiring managers are typically involved in like the hiring process. So chances are that's not the first time they are meeting you. They were there when you were interviewed, when you were assessed. So what happened? It could be the same reason. They probably had a choice candidate that they couldn't hire because, recruitment has to follow a certain process, policies, and if it's a position where it's like a union, there's a collective bargaining agreement that governs how you hire for that role. So maybe you were not their choice candidate, but the collective agreements made it such that this is the person that we're going to hire. So it could be for any reason. Again, kill them with kindness. If it's somebody who you report to, I would say, again, pipe down, observe, ask questions about the expectations, ask questions about things that you can do differently. Like, let the person know that I'm not here to take your job. Even if the intention is to take their job, you do not rub that in anybody's face that I'm here for your job. Pipe down until you have enough information to come to the conclusion that it's actually toxicity and not that something else is going on with them.
Earlier on, we talked about getting into a new workplace and then coming into a new country and getting jobs. So I'm going to delve into that. So how can you draw that line between culturally what you know and what is now toxic? So I would use an example. Like, we come from a climate where people wear their emotions on their face.
Oh yeah.
So the person that likes you, you know. The person that doesn't like you, you know. But here it's different.
Yeah.
I usually call it passive aggressive.
That's what it is actually.
So
Passive
how
aggression.
do you, coming into a new country, how can you tell that, okay, this is a cultural difference, not toxicity? This workplace, oh, that's how they are. How do you tell that difference?
And I like that we're drawing the fact that some of these things could be cultural differences. It's not flat out toxicity.
Yeah.
It's not always toxicity. Again, it still comes down to how much are you willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Because you come to a new place, things are definitely going to be different from what you know. For things as simple as calling your managers by their first name. If you come from an African setting, like a typical African setting, that kind of organization where there's emphasis on respect, there is emphasis on hierarchy, there's emphasis on I'm the boss, you're not. If you call your boss by their first name, you all know what's going to happen.
What will happen?
But here, I have gotten into trouble for not calling my boss by their first name. So how do you make those adjustments? It still comes down to observing. What is the culture of this organization?
Okay.
How is it different from what I know? For some people, if it's lunchtime, I can go and have my lunch in my car and not have somebody come and ask me, why are you by yourself?
Right.
But there are some organizations in Canada or here where if you do the same thing, you will be seen as aggressive, like you're excluding everybody else. If we have a lunchroom, why are you not using the lunchroom? Or for some people, you go into the lunchroom and maybe that's the time you want to catch up, return calls because of time difference. If you don't call at this time, if you wait until you're out of work, it's a little too late in your home country.
Yeah.
For some people, that's the time you want to do that. And then you have your ears plugged, you're on the phone the whole time while you're in the lunchroom. In some places, that can be seen as you being aggressive. You are the aggressive one. You are the one who's excluding yourself from everybody else. And
You're not a
somebody
team
can
player.
exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody can interpret that as we question your fit for this organization, right? So again, it's observing, taking that time to see what is obtainable here. How is it different from what I know? And then what adjustments do I have to make to then now adjust to life in this place? So there's a lot of work that has to happen from the angle of the person who is the newcomer. Under ideal circumstances, the workplace that you're entering into where you're new, they have a responsibility to make it welcoming, to make it safe, to make it non-threatening, and all the things you need to make that transition seamless. The employer has a responsibility to do that. But there's also work on the angle of the new employee who's coming in. Your ability to be open enough to learn, to say, okay, first of all, this is different from what I know. How do I learn? How do I adjust? I notice that this is the way people do things here. How can I align myself with that? It's when you now insist that you're going to do things the way you know how to do it, whether it fits with the organization or not. Sometimes that's where some of those conflicts arise that we now come back to label toxicity.
Right.
What was your role in that? If somebody all of a sudden became hostile to you, I would say, walk it backwards. Let's go backwards. When did this start? Has it always been like this? Did it change at some point? What happened? What do you remember happened at that point? Did something trigger it? So it's all of those questions that we have to ask and rule out any foul play or own goal.
Right.
Yeah, just make sure you're not scoring an own goal before you now start to call it workplace toxicity. There's always adjustments that needs to be made from all the angles.
Okay, so I really like the fact that you focus the searchlight on the person.
Let's start
That
from
is-
there.
It starts from there, because I would use another common example that I kind of experienced. So coming here to Canada, in Nigeria, where we're from, in the morning you see people, good morning, and all that. And so I remember when I was working in the hospital, I would greet people, good morning, and then somebody would say, what's good about the morning?
Can you be angry in the morning?
Can you be angry? Yeah, or you greet the person and the person flat out doesn't respond to you. So I used to wonder, why is this? And then there's this other thing that was kind of a culture shock to me, the plastic smile.
Oh.
The Canadian plastic smile. When they smile, it doesn't get to their eyes. And the same person that just smiled with you on the walkway is going to write an email about you the next second.
Yeah.
So all of those things, are you saying that one of the adjustments that the person has to make is now learn the plastic smile or become what they are? Is that what you're saying?
I still
To
haven't
fit in.
mastered that plastic smile.
Okay.
It's hard. It's hard. Like my emotions are still well on my face. Sometimes when I try not to, somebody told me that my face has subtitles.
Oh my
So even when you're not talking, we can read what you're trying to say. So that part I haven't quite mastered yet, because I just cannot bring myself to, if I'm not going to smile, you're not going to beat me. I don't have to smile. Why?
Pretense.
Like why? I don't know how to do that, So there are good and bad parts of culture.
Right.
It will now depend on you to filter out which part makes the most sense for you. For me, I don't see the need to fake the smile, is why I've not adopted it. Are there settings where I have smiled even though I'm a bit irritated by what's happening? Yes, that's because in that setting, I'm trying to mask not letting my irritation show, just so it doesn't become awkward for everybody involved. In that case, would I just smile, that African mother smile, when you know that you're in trouble later? You know that smile? Yeah, that's the version that shows up, not the plastic one. So we have to still be able to pick and choose which part of this culture is healthy enough for me to adopt, so that even if I do it outside of this workplace, it's still not going to be a problem for my adjustment into the country. Right? So that you don't pick up habits from work that will now become a problem outside of your office.
Work.
So it's just learning that fine balance between what do I really need to make my stay in this organization as seamless as possible. If for you, it's adopting a plastic smile, by all means. Plastic smile away.
Regarding the plastic smile, I don't really see it as maybe fake or pretense. I just feel it's just trying to make maybe the person feel comfortable, trying to bring a presentable personality ahead of whatever conversation. I might not be talking to you or anything. We all see it happens. And that's why sometimes we say Canadians are very nice and friendly.
And polite,
so I think it's just a polite way of, instead of just walking indifferently along the corridor.
I think that smile sometimes makes the eye contact less awkward.
Exactly.
Like if somebody's staring at you and
you're just walking,
they have a straight face, it could be awkward.
But when
so
you
sometimes
smile,
that's where the smile
is just trying to you just make that smile. So I think I welcome the smile, even if it looks plasticky. It's still better than frowning.
For me, I just smile and nod
or
back
making
to say,
exactly. I acknowledge your. We might not greet and say hello, good morning, but I just think it's just the way of life, and I think it's a good thing to adapt if you want to, and if you are not comfortable with adapting it, fine. However, it's different from you are smiling with me and killing me at the back, especially at workplace, because you've just gone to submit a serious allegation before the supervisor about me without having, corrected me or talked to me about it upfront. You're smiling with me, or we walk around, we meet ourselves somewhere at the break room or corridor, and you just smile, but you've done something nasty about me just some moments ago or like yesterday, and I get a call, or I got written up and I find out that I suspect, okay, that must be the person, because this was the person that altercation or that situation happened with. I don't know how to feel, because the next time I'm seeing that person, I'm not going to smile plastic or real. I'm not going to smile. I'm just going to have a straight face. And because I'm offended, I'm upset, I'm annoyed, maybe because you didn't speak to me about it. Maybe over time I'll walk myself into forgiving that person, because I have no choice probably, and then maybe I might find it in myself to smile later after that.
So there's a fine line there. There's actually a fine line there, because different organizations have different policies when it comes to resolving conflicts, altercations, and things like that. If the organizational policy does not involve first stage as going to talk to the person who you had the altercation with, that person is well within their rights to not come and talk to you about it and take it to a first line supervisor. So for them, it might just be them following policy. You then want to be careful, because if you now become hostile to that person, it can be seen as it's like reprisal attack, like you're attacking the person for following the policy.
Or harassing.
And then you put a target on yourself because you are the one who's now flouting policy. So there's a fine line between how do you do this. If the first stage of conflict resolution is take it to a supervisor, that's what they will do. They won't come to you. And you know that the average Canadian is so not confrontational that they might not be able to come to you to say, actually, I have a problem with XYZ, or what you said or what you did. From where we come from, we would trash out the issue while we're eating together to say, actually, I don't like this, straight to your face. And the person has a chance to either say, oh, I didn't realize, or it becomes a bigger issue. It is only after it has become a bigger issue we escalate. But here in some organizations, it's the reverse. you do not go and confront the person. Go to your supervisor first, so that even if they tell you to go back, for some people, again, policies differ, right? If the solution is your supervisor to now say, okay, I think you should go and try to have a conversation with them, they have documented it. There's a process they expect the employee to follow to have that conversation. There are guidelines that they will provide to say, if you're going to have the conversation, have it like this, and then come back and give me feedback. So if you're upset that the person did that and you are now hostile to them, you're just building a case against yourself. So we need to know that fine balance. Know the policies. That's where I would say start from. What policies surround conflict resolution? What policies surround how you have those kind of hard conversations with a colleague? You need to know the guidelines and follow what the organization has put in place.
That was a very hard one for me to adjust to, like one of the cultures, like a big culture shock for me. How dare you? Why will you go report this situation? I feel you should come to me first and have that conversation. Good, bad, because I feel personally, I know maybe at that situation, I'm open to accepting your correction or your feedback regarding that issue. However, when I now see you and I'm being called at the back end for a correction, it's so like, for it I don't know, for an average African, I think it feels humiliating, it feels embarrassing, it feels you are reporting me to malign me.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot to adjust to, but yeah, we are getting there gradually and accepting that reality.
Yeah. You know what you can take, but the person doesn't know that.
Yes.
They don't know that if they come to you, you might be open to that feedback.
Right.
So again, that's a conversation. I feel like sometimes if the supervisor is managing that process correctly, they will give you a chance to even have a say. To come back and say, okay, this is the report that came. Is there something you have to say for yourself? And then you can explain your side and then say, next time it would be nice if I even get a chance to have this conversation with this person before it gets escalated to you. Is that something we can explore going forward? Next time, if you have concerns with me, I think you can ask me. I'm open to things like that. So create that expectation for the person to say, next time, you can safely come to me and have this conversation with me so that we don't have to escalate it. So there's a place of time and there's a place of relationships and some of this, how we handle some things. If you have dealt with somebody over time, you then know how they handle things, and then you now know how to approach them. Yes.
We have really talked about adjustments and the new workplace and the new country. So I want to narrow it down to toxicity now.
Okay.
And when we had our last episode where we talked about it, you will find it right here. We talked about the different types of toxicity that you will find in the workplace. We talked about bullying, we talked about micromanaging, and so on. I even gave a very interesting example, but it happened in Nigeria, about a sexual assault. And so, I'm not going to go into that.
Okay.
But I'm saying all of this to ask, now in this climb where we are at, you have come into this company, you're mindful of culture, you're mindful of the new workplace. What would be the classic example that from your HR cap will be, this is straight up toxicity in a workplace? What would be the ones that you would pick?
So when there is gang up,
Okay.
when you have maybe a team of 5 people, one person is new, and then the other people who have been there longer gang up against the new person. And it can play out in different ways. Sometimes people have sabotaged other people's work because, if all of us have access to like our storage servers or folders where we're supposed to save our work, and then you go there to go and delete what somebody has done, believe me, it happens.
That should be criminal.
Sometimes you just go on there, maybe you're working on something. There was a story I heard about a group project that 3 people were working on. They agreed that, okay, it was a big file document. Okay, you start from the top, I'll start from the bottom, and then we can swap places so that you can check out what I've done, I can check out what you have done, and make sure that the time we're submitting, we both have had eyes on what the other person has done. And somebody was disgruntled about something else and then went to delete the work, like undid what the person who was working from bottom had done. So it was almost like the bottom up work didn't happen. So it became a case of, I'm doing my own, why you're not doing yours. But this person was sabotaging the work the other person is doing. That is flat out.
Yeah.
Like you said, it should be criminal. So that's something. It can be gang up. And then another kind, toxicity, might just be spreading false information about another person. And gossip travels very fast. It flies before the truth has an opportunity to even put on socks. Liars reach all over. You know, sometimes just intentionally spreading malicious information, false information about another person to make the workplace difficult for them for whatever reason. That I would say, yes, it's one of the attributes of a toxic workplace. And sometimes it's just the general culture of the organization as a whole that can be toxic. It's not that any manager sits down and says, today I want you to gossip about each other. It's what do you do with the gossip when it comes to you? Sometimes we have people who report to managers who are their friends. How do you then draw that fine line between when are we official and when are we being friendly? So sometimes gist can come to you as a manager. You need to be able to draw the line of, okay, this is not an appropriate conversation for us to have in the workplace. If you want to do this in our group chat after work, that's fine. But here and now, you cannot come and have conversations about another person to me. So there's the place of the person who's spreading the gossip and the person who's receiving the gossip. Because gossip only becomes gossip when one person shares it with another person and that person feels the need to spread it. That's how it grows. But if gossip comes to you and it ends with you, one day they'll realize that this channel is a dead end. The gist doesn't get out of there and they'll find somebody else, which I'm totally fine with. Just don't bring it to me, right? So all of that, like the spreading malicious information about other people or intentionally sabotaging their work, I would say that can be part of gossip. And then there's the microaggression of, your English is so good. How do you speak so good English?
I was going to come to that.
I would say for that one, there's a line. There's also a line. Is it toxic or is this person just being flat out ignorant? There are some people who are flat out ignorant. They don't know. They don't realize. Like if you live in a place where you have never been out of the province, you have never been out of that city, the only holiday you go to is maybe in one direction and back. There's only so little of the world that you have seen. But then that's what the internet is for. That's what I tell people like that. When you ask me questions like that, I'm like, why are we having this conversation? Did you do geography in secondary school? Like, why do you not know Africa is not a country? You know, things like that. Like, the only 7 continents, why don't you know them? Like, I turn it back to say, let's use it as a learning moment when I have the time and when I have the capacity, because not every day I'm going to be your elementary school teacher. Sometimes talk to Uncle Google, it can help you, you know. Sometimes it's ignorance. It's not, the intention is not toxicity. I think I have been here long enough and I've been across a couple of different employers long enough to understand be able to judge in the moment. Like, what do I think is going on? Is this ignorance or is this person trying to be funny? When I look at it like, okay, this person is being ignorant, I convert it to like a learning moment. Let's talk more about this. Tell me why you feel that way. Why do you think flights don't leave Africa? Believe me or not, somebody has asked me that. Like,
how did I get here?
I came on a broom. That's exactly what I said. I landed on a broom and landed here, since we're trying to be silly, you know? So in the moment, it's being able to judge, like, what is happening? Is this person, do they really not know, or is there malicious intent? There's also that place of my gut feeling, like, what do I think is happening? I can be wrong, but I mean, when you play silly games, you win silly prizes. Exactly. So whatever you see in the moment, you can take.
Get it.
So it's just, being able to judge in the moment, just to say, okay, what do I think is happening here? How do I want to respond to this? Is this worth my time? Is this worth the emotional bandwidth that I'm going to use to have this conversation? Or is it just easier for me to just give that plastic smile and stroll away so that there's peace and all of us can keep our jobs, you know?
I want to still pick on that because we talked about the English part. Another thing that I know that I've found really weird is our hair and the way they go about it. So are we supposed to just, explain or give them grace like you just said? Or just say it's none of your business?
I think it depends on how, again, I told you guys that the HR
You're
question.
such an HR.
It depends. There's no black and white situation. Sometimes we confuse people. African women, your hair is straight today, tomorrow it is curly, next tomorrow it is short and wavy. We're confusing people too. They don't understand. Why does your hair change every day? Why?
I-
You know, sometimes that's where the curiosity stems from.
Yes, exactly.
But for my own natural hair, I've not really had a lot of people ask me any dumb questions about my hair. Maybe because my hair has always been predominantly short. So I'm the most consistent they see. It's short all the time. It's short and gold all the
Yeah.
time. You know, but for the people who have wigs, how the question comes across plays a very important role in how you answer it. Who is asking this question? Is it a random stranger just walking up to me to say, what about my hair? What is wrong with my hair? Which part of an African woman's hair haven't you seen before? Right? Again, it just depends on how the question comes, what the question is, what information are you trying to get out of this situation? I do that quick check in my head to say, okay, that's what's going to determine if this is going to be a learning moment, if it's going to be a buzz moment.
To give context to that, like I've experienced those questions, but personally, I don't take it as any hurtful or hateful comment, and I see it as just because they are curious.
Curiosity.
And like you said, we change a lot. I mean, we are coils today, we are straight tomorrow, short, long, gold, brown, green. And I jokingly tell a person I can be purple, I can be blue, I can be green, I can be anything. So I just like I wear clothes, I can wear hairs, and I feel I just go straight up to explain this is a wig. I wear it on my head, so this is not all you see every time. And I like variety, I like differences. So and that's so when they see me in a short wig, or it's like,
less
it's nice, it's less confusing. And I don't know why they are confused, but I want to believe that
I don't know why.
Because their hair is the same every day.
Every day,
How do you have time to change your hair every day? That's where the curiosity
But
is coming
I
from.
feel that it's just because they are also a little bit ignorant. They don't really look beyond their immediate environment. So we coming into their climb, we are trying to show them that there's a lot of variety in the world, and they're just getting to adjust to it. And I think when they see some other people, they don't ask that question. And I find it funny when I answered that kind of, I gave those kind of answers, and a colleague was like, "Oh, why did you go and let them know that we are wearing wigs?" And I'm like, "Do you think they are dumb? We're wearing different hairs." It's a wig. Are you ashamed to say you're wearing a wig? And Hollywood, everybody wears wigs all the time. Even whites, they wear wigs. Though maybe later for more of fashion, maybe drama, acting reasons or anything because of medical conditions and all. But I just like to wear it. I love the variety. Our hair is tough. That's the truth. Our hair is difficult to maintain. So sometimes to make life easier for you, you just put on something that will make you look okay. And look fine. And that's it. And from going forward, they tend to always admire the hair. "Oh, you look so nice. I love your hair. How long did you use? How long did you sit on this?" And you share that information. That's all. I don't see it as being toxic.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on how the question is asked.
Exactly. So a lot of context,
It's been
Maybe a friendly question.
Yes, there's been a nice chat. But in some people have experienced scenarios where they say it in a way to disparage you or to bring you down or make you feel less of yourself. So again, like she said, have a gut feeling. If it's good, chat.
Be able to judge the situation.
If it's not good, give a plastic smile if you don't want to do basketballs. That's what I'm taking away.
If it's your boss, just smile and walk away, okay? Let's keep the job. If you still like the job, keep it. Just keep the job.
Okay, so I'm going to go into micromanaging now because that's one other thing we talked about. And earlier on, when you were making the reference about adjustment, you said if you come into a new company or as a new immigrant, you have to study the culture of the place.
Absolutely.
Now, what if, as a person, you don't like to be micromanaged, and this particular workplace or this particular supervisor in this workplace, that's their style?
It's a micromanager.
Yes.
Okay.
So how do you go with that?
Okay. There's no one straight answer to that because micromanaging is an indication of a bigger issue.
Okay.
It's one symptom of a bigger issue. It could be that this boss is just very meticulous, what we will call like a helicopter mom, sort of. They want to see everything. They want a line of sight into everything you're doing. I would question the bigger picture. What else is going on there?
Okay.
Think about it this way. As a foreign trained professional, if you come into Canada as a permanent resident, let me use that as the example, it means that you had the highest CRS scores in whatever pool you were in.
True.
And to have the highest CRS scores, you probably have more than one degree. You probably speak more than one language. You probably have over a certain threshold of years of experience. You probably have lived in multiple countries before you come to Canada. For some people, you leave your home countries, you have lived in 2 other countries, and then this is where you are now. And then you come into this organization where the person you report to became a manager because maybe they have been in that organization 10, 15 years,
Right.
not because they have the qualifications that you have. Now, this is one scenario. I'm not saying that's
Right.
what happens every time. I'm trying to paint a picture of when you see micromanagers sometimes, it's pointing to a bigger issue. So you then report to this person who, when you check it out, the person may or may not have a first degree. They have been in that organization for a long time, and it's because of their knowledge of that organization is how they rose to become the person who you now report to. So here you are with your 2 MBAs, your MSc from Heriot Watt or one of those other places, worked in multinational organizations across different places in the world, and you are now reporting to this person who, like I said, may or may not have a first degree. They have worked in 2 different organizations, one when they were straight out of high school, and now this organization where they're supervisor, or this organization is the only organization they have worked in straight out of high school or straight out of university, hasn't seen anything beyond where they live because where they were born is 2.5 hours. Think about it from a, how do I provide direction to somebody who has this kind of pedigree and this is who I am as a supervisor. So sometimes intimidation can play out in form of, I'm going to now show you every day who the boss is. Sometimes that's where micromanaging shows up. So as a standalone behavioral pattern, it's going to be hard to really get the full picture if we hold on to the symptom. Micromanaging almost always points to something else. Now, because you're not a therapist, it's not your job to fix the manager, right? You can have a conversation just to say, okay, I've been here, 60 days, 90 days, and I've noticed that this person likes to see. How can we find the common ground? Go and have a conversation with them. It's okay, it's been 30 days, it's been 60 days since I've been here. Do you have any feedback? Yes.
Okay.
Do you have any feedback for me? What do you think about the way I do my work? Do you have any recommendations or any suggestions? Is there something you think I can do differently from how I'm doing it now? Depending on what they say, more than half the time, micromanagers don't say, I will micromanage you. Sometimes they don't even recognize that that's how they're coming across. And then for you, you can provide feedback and say, okay, these are the areas I think we've done very well in the period that I've been here. In this area, I noticed that you like to have a general line of sight into the work that I'm doing. Can we then, instead of having an everyday check-in, can we make it once a week just so that I can take direction from you and I have some room to implement the feedback you give me? So by the time we're checking in again, I've had enough time to implement what you give me. I find that if you check in every day, it's not enough time for me to implement the changes that you suggest. So it'd be nice so that I don't work under that kind of pressure. It's having those conversations, except the person is a flat out demon. They don't want to hear anything you have to say. They want you to do the work their way. Then maybe it's time for you to just keep the resume warm.
Yeah.
So
And just,
I really like what you just said. And I'm going to say this, that it is not something that is common to us.
Yeah.
So again, this is the relearn process.
That's the relearn.
Relearn. Because back in where we're coming from, you don't go and
You can't have that kind of conversation. Yeah.
To have that kind of conversation. So this is one of the things you have to relearn. Just have that conversation. And I have observed, or my experience has been, that most of them, when you come to say, I want to have a conversation with you, they don't push back.
They're open. It's part of their job.
They're open
That
to it.
feedback is a two-way street. It's part of their job.
Okay, so we've talked about micromanaging now, and we've touched on bullying, sort of, when we talked about the hair and then language and everything. But another thing that also happens in a toxic environment, and I want you to speak to this as a HR person, is when the supervisor takes your shine.
Oh. Who
Or even colleagues, but not even only your supervisor,
your
sometimes your colleagues.
So how do you deal with that?
Okay.
Or how do you identify first
Okay.
that, okay, this person just took my idea
Okay.
Turned it into theirs.
Absolutely.
And how do I now deal with this?
Okay. So that's another thing that I find that a lot of immigrants struggle with is lending your voice at work. When we have like group projects or group meetings, we just go in there to say, I just came to do my work. I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to observe. whether you like it or not, workplace politics is a thing that is going to impact you, whether you are involved or not. If I'm going to borrow the words of our Prime Minister recently when he had that the speech in Davos, if you're not on the table, you are on the menu.
Yes.
So if you're not lending your voice, somebody else is going to take the idea and run with it. And in this place, unfortunately, sometimes the loudest people are the most visible people. And when they are going to give projects or things based on visibility, it's not the person who knows the work, it's the person who shouts about what they're doing. So if you're going to say, no, I just want to do my work, I don't want anybody to notice me, you're going to be shooting yourself in the foot, because how did that person get your idea? You're probably sharing to the wrong people, or you're not sharing the right settings. For the case of your boss taking your shine, as much as I would love to say no, that's our work, to make our bosses look good.
Okay.
That's your first responsibility. Nobody, every supervisor, every manager will hold on tightly to the employees who make them look like superstars. That's what they're trying to do. Because when they go into conversations with their own bosses, whose work are they going to use to brag, to say this was coming out of my team? It's their superstars. They will hold on to their superstars. So yes, first law of power, you never outshine the master. Your job is to make your boss look good. So if they take your shine, that one is bearable. You can live with it. It's when colleagues now start to run with your ideas. I would say, where exactly are you lending your voice? Where are you sharing those ideas? If it's a group project, are you the one who allows everybody talk for you? When you go into like group settings, does it intimidate you to share your ideas? We don't know how to brag as Africans.
Yes.
Because we think about it like it's pride, it's
prideful,
sinful. Yes.
You're showing off.
But here, you will see somebody do X, Y, Z, and they come to the meeting and say, I just wanted to share the updates on this. And they share everything. I'm like, you haven't said anything different from your day-to-day work. Like, why do we have to hear that? That's your job description. But you know what that person is doing? They are sowing seeds in the hearts of everybody who's listening. The person who's talking is the one who appears to be doing the work. So if you're doing things that you're not talking about, you absolutely should stop doing that. For some people, somebody was sharing recently that she started to create a brag document every week. At the end of the week, she does a summary of all of the things she did, all of the projects that she initiated, the progress that she has made on ongoing projects, and shares it with her boss to say, I just thought I'll share the feedback of what happened this week with you. So he gets first line of sight into who is doing what. Brag document, as silly as it sounds, that now becomes the basis for performance review conversations. When it's time to do promotions, the boss knows who has the competency to do what work. So not just the person who's the loudest, is the person who actually has the skill and the competency to do this work. That's who gets it. So you must learn how to put yourself out there. You must learn how to talk. I struggled a lot with this. I still do, to an extent, to just go to work and just start talking about the things you've done. It feels awkward.
Yeah.
But in actual sense, that's how you survive in this environment. Nobody is coming to clap for you. Nobody is coming to save you. You must be willing to put yourself out there and make noise about the work that you're doing. I got the idea. So I had a new employer that I joined, and somebody gave this idea of, when you introduce yourself, when you meet the existing team members, how do you even introduce yourself to them? How do you just go and say, well, I'm so, I do this, I came from this organization? So I borrowed that idea and I flipped it, and I created PowerPoint slides. Yeah. With a new employer. I created PowerPoint slides to talk about myself to the team. So when you meet them, so in that particular employer, they had like an expectation to have one-on-one conversation with the team members. So you book the conversations with team members to just get to know them. It was to break the ice, to make it less awkward, right? Especially because it was a remote setting.
Right.
So I had PowerPoint slides to use to describe myself. One of them was about my education, another slide was about my experience, another one was about my personal life, and one other one was about fun facts about myself. It was one way I ensured that everybody, first of all, was getting consistent information. Like, you all know the same thing. What I want you to know is what I'm sharing. So that I don't tell one person one, somebody hears another thing, and it becomes, I wanted to keep the information consistent. But till tomorrow, the people that I'm still in touch with in that organization, they still talk about that. When I now eventually had conversations with like senior leadership, before I even talked to them, they're like, oh, I heard about the slides.
Oh, wow.
Everybody talked about it, right? For something as simple as that. But I created an impression that people won't forget. So now, when you think about, oh, who can do this? My name comes to mind because of some of the things that I said in my brag documents.
I didn't just
PowerPoint
say that,
slides.
they saw the visual.
They saw visuals. I had pictures.
stays
I put,
longer.
yeah, it was something small, insignificant. If I didn't do it, nothing would have happened. But that I did it created an impression that is going to stay with the people who experience that for a long time to come, right? So being able to put yourself out there, being able to step away from what is comfortable, what is familiar, and play the game. You have to play that game. Like, office politics is a game, and you're on the playing field whether you accept it or not. It now depends on whether you want to be an active player or you want to be a pawn that somebody is going to use to climb to reach their own goal. So
Ooh, I feel like I'm sitting in front of therapy because
family life coach. Family life coach.
Family life and occupational therapy, because I've learned a lot. I've learned so much from what you have said. These are things we verbalize. Even in our last episode, we've mentioned some of these things too. But sometimes hearing it from you, I'm reflecting about my life, and I wish I could rewind,
go back
time, like the past last 10, 15 years, and start from all over. Like, now play the right things with this new knowledge. I'm like, so if you're a listener over here and our viewers, I'd like to encourage you to please tag this, save this video, and even share with your friends, because a lot of people need this wealth of knowledge, wealth of information, how to adjust and to settle in a new workplace, so that you don't become the pawn and you don't lose out in getting the best out of your work environment, and you don't start thinking it's toxic, whereas you just actually need, there are just a few things you need to adjust to, and
along
then
the way,
you'll just be fine at your workplace. So this is really helping me, and going forward, I know we'll take on the mantle of being vocal, because that is one major concern for me too. Being able to brag. We said it in the last episode. It's so difficult because the way we're brought up, like, don't shine, don't try to be too boastful, because, well, maybe because the environment also, some people will become like, who do you think you are, that kind of a thing. So you try to like moderate yourself. You try to like subpedal you. Although that doesn't mean some people were not doing that. Some people were also still being very vocal about what they were doing. But majority, maybe if you feel you want to be from a good home, you want to show good home training. So whereas it's now working almost against you in another environment, that's not what. So I think that's one of my challenges, and I'm going to like up my game on that too.
That's what observation will help you do, to identify what makes sense in this environment and what adjustments can I make to come on board. We've talked a lot about adjusting toxicity from like a top-down perspective. Maybe it might help for us to look at it from like a peer-to-peer. Like if it's gossiping, if it's bullying, or you go out with team members and they end up talking about everybody else, how do you adjust to that? I've been in situations like that, and from a professional perspective, I would say that gossip, and I think I touched on this a bit earlier, gossip becomes gossip when it spreads. Like when two people have a conversation, it becomes gist. When I then take it to a different person, that person takes it to another person. Before you know, the whole organization is talking about it, whether it's true or not. What I've come to realize is that there is a place for hanging out with the team. There's also the place of knowing when to remove yourself from a difficult situation. I'm not a fan of people going to work and then when the team says, hey, we're doing this after work, you are the one who says no every time. I'm not a fan of that. I think that there's a fine balance between knowing when to say no, sometimes show up, because that's also part of the workplace politics. Sometimes the things that you hear in those informal settings can solve problems that you have in formal settings. I've been in a group before where there was somebody who I just labeled difficult because I joined this organization and this person just has a very firm way of doing things. Like, do you not smile? Can you not take a joke? And things like that. I was struggling with relating very well with that person. And then one day the team says, hey, are you guys open to going out after work to go and have drinks for whatever reason? And that day I'm like, you know what, today I'll show up. And I went. I said, yes, I'll come. And while we were talking, somebody else now mentioned, they were talking about a real life situation and said, oh, I had to do this with this person. And you guys know how much I don't like relating with that person because the person is difficult. Now, this is the same person I labeled difficult. Now, to hear somebody else say this person is difficult, I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not crazy. Something is actually going on. I didn't contribute to the conversation immediately, but somebody else who was in the group now laughed and said, and that person who was contributing this time had been in the organization about the same time as the person who we call difficult. And I said, oh no, that person is the softest person you will ever deal with. If you will just relate with her like this, like this, like this. In that context, we were technically talking about somebody else, but it was not for malicious intent, because at the end of the day, when we left the conversation, there was deliverance for two people, me and the other person, because we now found a way to relate with this person to make our lives a little easier. So sometimes you just never know what you're going to hear in those settings that would help you adjust in that workplace. Where I draw the line is where you put somebody on the chopping block and dissect them in many pieces, with no intention to provide constructive criticism, especially if the person is not there to even get a chance to explain their side of the story or defend themselves. That's the point where I get very uncomfortable. And in situations like that, when there's small silence, I change the conversation. Let it be awkward for all of us, but I can't contribute to that. Change the conversation, or just say, one time I had to speak up to say, actually, I don't think we have enough information to come to that conclusion. And whatever it is that's going on in our personal life is not our business. So maybe we should stay in a different direction. The worst it can be is that next time they don't invite you, and that's totally fine. It's not because you are antisocial, you just cannot contribute to those kind of conversations. So to what end? This thing we're talking about, to what end? What is the goal of this conversation? What are we trying to figure out? For that first situation, we talked about somebody, but at the end of the day, the goal was to help me and somebody else, unknowingly me, because I didn't say anything. It was to now help us relate better. And did that help? Absolutely. It did. And then we woke up and said, something has changed with the person. No, it's not the person that changed. It was my perspective that changed. And if I was not in that setting, I probably would never have had the chance to get that perspective about the person. So what is the goal of the conversation? What are we trying to achieve with this thing that we're saying? Do we have enough information? If this thing that we're all saying gets published, will we be able to defend it? If I cannot defend it, if it becomes public information, you will not catch me say it in whatever setting, right? So that's how I deal with the gossip. I don't contribute to it. If it's not constructive criticism, if it's not information that's going to help anybody become better, I will not contribute to it. I'll change the conversation. Let it be awkward for all of us. You know, I mean, like I said, the worst it can be is next time they don't call you, and that's fine. There's always, I was sharing with you earlier that I find that in many organizations, when you're new, observe. If you look at the team, there's always that one person that's like the queen bee. That person has tea on everybody.
And you want that person
to know
to
something about everything and everybody. They have been there long enough. They have seen 3 presidents, 2 CEOs come through the organization. They have been there. 3 managers have come and gone. That person is still there. Find that person. Because the person can make your life easy. They can also make your life difficult.
Right.
Yeah. While some of those people can be such change influencers in the team, they can be the biggest roadblocks to change, because they have seen it happen the same way for so long. It now becomes difficult. Like, you know how they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. They become the stumbling block. So sometimes identifying those people and knowing how to play to them is all part of the game, and we all need to be playing that game.
Right.
Thank you for all you have said. You have just been dropping gems all around. Like,
happy to be of service.
So it's therapy for me as well, because in my head I'm saying, okay, maybe that other time that I thought it was toxicity, maybe it was cultural that was happening. So our viewers, we would like to hear your take. If you've had any experiences or you have more to add to what she has said, please put it in the comment. And always remember to like, share, and subscribe. If you have been watching all this time, please hit that subscribe button.
It's free. It's free. Just hit it. Come on. Content creation is hard work. I'm sorry. I'm just going to help you here. As a content creator, you guys, you don't realize how much work goes into putting these videos out. If you know all the setting that happened here, in the few minutes I've been in this room, I've seen how much work has gone in. I mean, the least that we can do is encourage by sharing, by liking, by subscribing. It's free. You're not paying anything. So do that. Help humanity and share information like this to somebody else. Okay?
Yeah.
So, final words.
Well, we've heard it all. I can't say more than our expert has actually presented. She's the HR specialist. I would like to say that try to adjust to your environment. And if you think you're still struggling and you're finding it difficult, like sometimes I still do, you can communicate with our guest, Marina Esiri. She is a life coach. She teaches about life. She can guide you and counsel you about your career, about profession, about your workplace. And she's also, like we introduced in the beginning, HR specialist. So you have all package in one. And her email contact will be in this video that you are watching. In fact, has been actually scrolling on the video. You can always reach out to her. Now let her say more about what she does.
Yeah. So yes, I'm a family life coach. I also provide career consultations for people who have questions, navigating career transitions, work, life in the workplace. If you need one-on-one conversations, because most of the things we've talked about here are pretty generic, using general situations. Your specific situation might be different. Maybe I haven't captured all the nuances of what you are dealing with. You can hit me up, my email address. Let's have a conversation and talk about how we can help you do better and thrive better in your workplace. And if you are struggling in your family life as well, like I said, transition from one country to another a lot of stressors come with that. And sometimes you just need that other voice to help you navigate through all the different stressors that you're dealing with. And I can be your partner on that journey, and we walk the journey together. So if a conversation you want to have, you're more than welcome to send me an email and we can take it from there.
Thank you, Marina. We
Thank you.
appreciate your comment. It's an honor for this.
I'm a fan girl. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I feel like I'm fangirling right now because I've been watching the videos and now I'm on the couch. Look at me.
Yes,
I made it,
yes,
Mama.
yes.
I made it.
Yeah.
And always remember, life
It's for the living.
We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.